is stuck close to his scalp. His halo is red, his blood darkening the water as it dissipates around his head. The sight of it makes her sway. Her eyes fix on a long black metallic object resting on the pristine marble at the bottom of the pool. Magnified and deformed. A hunting rifle. The hills and the olive groves and the infinite blue sky collapse inwards in concentric ripples to converge on the weapon. She sees a police officer hurrying towards her. She takes a long, deep breath, and then she screams, as if to burst her lungs. Her cries echo through the valley, jolting the sleeping cicadas into song. In some detached part of her brain, she sees her gaping reflection in the water and knows that this is the final twist in his story. Chapter 1. Danielle. For the first time in weeks, I felt hopeful. A day in the office had been enough to lift my spirits. Being away from the flat was a treat in itself. It was only when I left the confines of my one-bedroom home that I realised how claustrophobic the atmosphere there had become. The instant I pulled the door shut, I breathed easier. My team had set up a rota system to apply for the police permits that were rationed and required by law to travel into work. This meant that I was able to spend a day in the office every 2 weeks, self-isolation restrictions permitting. With the clocks going forwards the previous weekend, I preferred to make the most of the longer evenings, to walk the 3-mile route back from my office in the City of London to the flat I shared with my partner in Islington, rather than running the gauntlet of the dingy, germ-ridden underground. I was in no hurry to get home. Although I knew the route back to front, there was something disorientating and confusing about wearing a mask, which made it hard for me to navigate the turns and the junctions. The mind fog it induced made me feel anxious, as I imagined someone with dementia might feel, lost in a big city. Lately, the streets around my office looked like something from a gangland film set. So many shops and restaurants had gone out of business. Their shutters were closed and splattered with lurid paint and angry graffiti. Some of it must have been there before the pandemic, but it had been concealed behind folded shutters in daylight hours, disguised by smart, well-lit and brightly coloured window displays and shop fronts. Now that anarchist after-dark underbelly of the capital was exposed all day long. I was struck by the reappearance of rough sleepers sheltering in the doorways of empty premises, surrounded by sleeping bags and makeshift cardboard tents. They'd mysteriously disappeared at the height of the lockdown. No one had raised any concerns or remarked on their absence. It was an open secret, rarely spoken of in the press, that for many months they'd been confined to shoebox bedrooms in cheap hotels, incarcerated like convicts. The threat from the virus having abated over the summer, once again these vulnerable people had been kicked out onto the streets to fend for themselves. Most of the rough sleepers I passed were painfully young, the new, lost generation. So many of the older, long-term homeless had died in the first wave of the pandemic. In the deep economic recession that followed, they'd been replaced by the young displaced and unemployed. In the harsh light of day, they looked like students suffering the effects of too much partying and alcohol and drugs, except a lot worse for wear. It was bleak. In fact, some of them probably were students. University halls of residence had been closed by government diktat. But students had been ordered not to return home for fear of spreading infection to other communities. Overnight, the students had been ejected from their makeshift prisons to join the ranks of the homeless. Many had no other place to sleep but the streets. The boy